Here is what's coming up in today's Frontline compilation. Multiple FPV drones stalk Russian infantry near Lyman, filmed by Ukraine's 63rd Mechanized Brigade. The next angles show how open fields and thin tree lines offer fewer escapes than they seem. A Russian crawls under an anti-thermal shroud, the grey cloak moving like a worm. Will it hide him from an FPV in broad daylight? A reconnaissance feed follows a FAB 500. Near Lesnaya Stenka Kharkiv, the long shallow approach raises a question. What target shape drew this release in the first place remains the question. A lone Russian squares up to an incoming FPV, hands high like he means to catch it. What pushes someone to gamble bare skin against a shaped charge and spinning props is the question. This is real footage, no effects, just raw moments from the battlefield. Subscribe to stay updated on every Frontline report and stick around to see it all unfold. Let's get into it. On the Dnipro near Kherson, a Russian patrol boat stays close to the reeds. A Ukrainian drone spots the boat and helps aim the artillery. The gunners switch to cluster shells that break into many small bombs and spread over the deck, hitting anyone and anything exposed. Boats often use shallow water to avoid anti-tank weapons from the far bank, but cluster fire covers a wide area, so this does not help. The shots grow more accurate, splashing in front and behind. The boat shakes, spray and smoke rise, and it drifts. If more crossings start here, this part of the river will be even more dangerous. Ukraine's 60th Mechanized Drone Team hits a line of Russian vehicles with several FPV drones. They time the strike so damaged tanks block the road for the rest. Many vehicles have cage armor over the turret that can help against blasts from above, but it can jam hatches and limit turning, trapping the crew when the engine dies. You can see different warheads by the flash on impact and the pop inside. The pilot aims for radiators, the turret ring, and fuel tanks, forcing crews to bail into mined shoulders. Another column waits in the dust. Are they learning or just next? Ukrainian FPV pilots hit a Russian fuel train in Zaporizhzhia. They send drones along the row of tanker cars. The hits are spaced out so leaking fuel lights the next car, and a few holes turn into a long fire. Each car holds a lot of fuel, so even a small burn can damage tracks and lines, and force a shutdown while crews cool the cars to prevent blasts. These train supply units in the south. One wrecked train can throw off the schedule. If this junction stays shut, activity will slow. Will the line open again before the next push? Ukrainian infantry dismount near a woodline and move in small groups. Helmet cameras capture voices guiding the push. First contact is close. Short bursts and grenades knock out a firing point. Calls to surrender go out more than once, but the shooting continues. A flanking pair finishes the fight with steady fire and a grenade into the dugout. The line goes quiet for a moment. The trees run far in both directions. What waits beyond the next fold? An AHS Crab sets up and fires a short burst. The gun aims, fires and reloads in a steady rhythm. Flash and dust mark each shot, then the view settles before the next round. The barrel shifts a little between shots to adjust aim, and recoil rocks the hull each time. Shells leave fast, and the sound rolls over the ground after a short pause. Smoke hangs over the gun line, and the dirt around it is pitted by blasts. The burst ends, and the scene holds for a moment. Was anyone watching for that position? Teams get tips from ground radar, then send FPV drones to hit or explode near incoming enemy drones. The drones are built tough and carry small charges. Pilots aim a little ahead to keep the target in view as wind and delay change its path. Radio links are short and batteries do not last long, so timing is key. Simple on-screen markers help track the target when it swerves. Each stop costs far less than a missile, so the bigger weapons can be saved for harder threats. Another blip shows on the screen. Do they have one more drone ready? Two Ukrainian soldiers clear a trench in Torsky. They move slowly and talk the whole time so their lines do not cross. Short bursts and quick grenade throws push them forward one bay at a time. A small drone hovers above the trees and calls out movement and noise from the next corner. The pair use cover cut angles and pauses before each step to listen. After several blasts, Russian soldiers raise their hands and climb out. The Ukrainians hold them at the lip, then shift to the next bay. Dirt falls from the walls and the trench bends ahead. The curve hides what comes next. Omega sets up a light mortar team in Kherson. A small spotting drone fixes the first round, then short calm calls guide small changes left, right and range. The rounds begin to land in a tight pattern and dust rises over a Russian position. The team holds a steady rhythm. Load, fire, correct, fire for effect. When the salvo ends, they fold the base plate, lift the tubes and get ready to move before counterfire can track them. The drone lingers for one last look at smoke and vehicles, leaving cover. The map already has the next firing point marked and waiting. From a ruined building, Ukraine's 12th National Guard watches a road with drones and waits for a small Russian group to enter the lane. The first man drops to aimed fire from cover. Another dives into brush and crawls along a ditch, trying to break contact. A drone skims low over the leaves, listens for movement, and spots a shape pressed tight to a wall. The call goes out and the team finishes the fight with short, careful bursts. The road grows quiet except for wind in loose sheet metal and dust drifting across the view. They hold for a minute, then listen again. Kyiv's skyline flashes as blasts break through the air defenses. Bright streaks cross the sky, then bursts light up above the rooftops. Some explosions happen high and leave clouds that drift and fade. Others flash lower and throw sparks and debris between buildings. Kyiv's skyline flashes as blasts break through the air defenses. Bright streaks cross the sky, then bursts light up above the rooftops. Some explosions happen high and leave clouds that drift and fade. Others flash lower and throw sparks and debris between buildings. Smoke pillars rise at several points and hang in the wind. The camera holds on the horizon as more trails appear and more bursts follow. You can see brief glows where impacts land, then darkness returns until the next flare. A drone from the Evil Beavers unit tracks a Russian tank fitted with extra cage armor. The pilot stays low, matches the tank's turn and looks for a small gap near the gun mount where plates meet and metal is thin. When the line is right, the drone slips through the opening and detonates. Fire starts over the engine area and thick smoke rolls across the rear deck. The tank slows and sits in a cloud that hides its outline. A few seconds later, the smoke thins and the noise drops. If a recovery team comes, another drone may follow along the same path. Clips from the 63rd Brigade show FPV drones hunting small groups along tree lines near Lyman. Pilots follow just far enough to watch paths, then cut in when targets bunch up or cross open ground. Some warheads blast on contact and punch narrow holes. Others throw fragments that spread across a wider strip and drive people off the path. Observers mark likely exit routes in case medics and support teams arrive later. The feed jumps between short chases and impacts, then cuts to the next angle. The tree line looks empty for a moment, but movement keeps returning. How many cameras watch this single corridor? Units from the 144th and 73rd move on a Russian position near North Slobozansky. They arrive by UTV, switch to forest camo, and advance in short bounds toward dugout. Suppressed rifles and grenades set a steady rhythm as they close the distance. The defenders are dug in and have netting over their line, but fixed firing arcs and packed soil limit their options. The breach comes quick, a charge into the trench, a few controlled bursts, then a push along the bays. After the rush, the team checks corners and signals the line is clear. Light fades over the trees. Which route will they use to get out? Inside ruined rooms, a small ducted prop drone moves down a stairwell where open frames would snag on rebar. The camera switches to a low light view and follows dust into a basement space. The first drone is knocked down by debris, buying a few seconds for the man inside. A second drone follows sound and heat through a gap and makes a close strike in a corner. These searches trade room-clearing risk for pilot skill and careful control. The feed shakes as the blast hits, then cuts to black. No other movement is visible in the clip. Was he acting alone down there? A Russian push near Malotokmachka breaks under layered defense. There are obstacles, planned artillery, and FPV teams working behind the front line. Tracks fall into old craters and hang there, and wrecks block the lane for the next wave. Light vehicles try to weave through fields but are hit by cluster shells and loitering munitions guided from above. Smoke covers short runs, then thins and shows more losses. When it lifts, the approach looks like a broken slalom of metal, holes, and churned dirt. Engineers will return with mine rollers and plows and try again. Will the route look different tomorrow? In full daylight, a Russian crawls under a heat-masking cloak at the edge of a tree line. The cloth hides heat but not shape, shadow, or the flat grey colour that stands out against summer green. He moves slowly across grass and stops to listen between steps. He is likely scouting for targets or trying to mark a lane. A Ukrainian FPV comes in low along the same line, rises to eye level, and makes a direct hit. The cloak flips away as the blast lands. If one scout was here, others may be behind him. How far back is the team following his crawl? Ukraine's Signum unit spots a Russian tank hidden in a small wood. Netting helps hide its shape, but heat and exhaust still show on camera. The view shifts as the aim adjusts, then a strike lands on the tank and smoke rises through the trees. The glow marks the spot, and small fires flicker under branches. The area stays quiet for a moment while smoke hangs low. Sites like this try to move often, but they still leave signs of use, like tracks and warm ground. Did a command post sit deeper inside the trees? A Russian tank in Pokrovsk moves in short steps down a street, stops and fires at windows that might hide shooters. A high explosive round hits a suspected position and throws dust across a courtyard. Extra armor and better sights help with range and target pickup, but drones overhead keep the turret scanning up as well as forward. A quadcopter shadow crosses the front plate and smoke grenades fire from launchers to hide the hull. Engines rev as a choice forms: stay and search for the threat, or back out and shift streets. Do they pull away before a top attack drone finds the roof? A Russian soldier tries to grab an FPV with bare hands in open ground. The drone explodes and badly injures him, and he stumbles behind a tree to hide from the view. Moments later, a second drone angles in and hits him there. Training warns against grabbing because rotors cut and warheads detonate on contact. Shields, nets, or hard cover work better when there is time and space to use them. The clip ends soon after the second blast and dust hides the spot. If a medic runs forward now, will another drone be above the lane waiting for movement? Recon video shows a large guided bomb gliding in near Lesnaya Stenka in the Kharkiv region. The flight is long and smooth before the final dive, which leaves a wide dust cloud and a deep crater. The shot can crush trench roofs and stun nearby positions through overpressure. No damage check is included in the clip, but field works and a vehicle scrape are visible close to the hit. Sites struck like this usually shift positions or harden overhead cover soon after. This looks like shaping fire meant to break a node before ground forces move. What will follow in the hours after this strike? That's today's raw footage. No filters, no fluff. This is M6 Archive, always first on the front lines. Subscribe and share if you want more.